Welcome back to another LinkedIn ads video. Today we're diving in deep with LinkedIn Campaign Manager. We're going to be looking at the reporting more specifically and learning how to optimize your campaign. So this is more of an advanced tutorial. If you're looking for like a basic tutorial on Campaign Manager, check out the other video I've made. It's a really extensive video. I'll put it in the link in the description below. It really goes into the fundamentals of Campaign Manager and gives you the firm understanding of Campaign Manager. This one's going a little bit deeper, and we're going to be basically looking at how to read your campaign. So once you've launched your campaigns, what should you be looking at? What metrics specifically should we be looking at? And how should we read these metrics? Like, what do they mean? Like, if we can see a low click-through rate, what should we be doing to make the click-through rate higher? And why is that important? So we're going to dive in deep.
So some general housekeeping first is that we need to get the naming convention right. We need to have some clear naming convention. Every time I do a LinkedIn ads audit, the naming convention, there is no naming convention and it's a mess. People are trying to be descriptive. It's super confusing, and it gets confusing for you doing your own ads if you're doing loads of ads and you're doing, say, rapid fire testing like I do, which is I set out like loads of different types of targeting and objectives and all that to see which ones are the winners, and I turn off. This is called a rapid fire test. If you want to learn more about rapid fire testing, by the way, let me know in the comments below because I'll do a video about it. This is how I set up a new campaign, someone who's never done a LinkedIn ads before. But the first thing we need to do with name convention, I'm just going to go over this really quickly. I'll make a separate video just on name convention because it's really important to do it right, just for general housekeeping. I start with whether or not it's top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel. So it's TOF, MOF, or BOF. And this just keeps it clear. I understand whether or not it's a retargeting campaign and what kind of messaging it is. A middle funnel is more like, with LinkedIn, it's a bit different to Facebook. Middle of funnel for me is just retargeting. Top of funnel is pure cold. Bottom of funnel is basically going straight for the kill, going for the action, schedule a call with us. Middle of funnel is more like, hey, do you want to download this thing? Let's get the lead. Top of funnel is cold. Do you want to get this lead? So that's the TOF, MOF, BOF. Then I go in for what type of ad it is. Is it sponsored content? Is it sponsored content, which is these three? Is it a text ad, which is these two? Is it a message ad, or is it a dynamic ad? Sorry, this is dynamic ad. There's a video I have on the types of ads. Check those out. So that's that one. So this one's sponsored content. Then I input whether or not there's a lead generation form attached to it. Is it a lead gen? So the next part is whether or not, what kind of objective have I chosen? So is it website visit, which would be a WV? Is it lead generation, LG, maybe website conversion, WC? I don't really use the other one so much, but video views is VV. I do use that sometimes. So that's that. Then I get into descriptive of who I'm targeting. So this one's UK, job title, IT manager, So this is important because it just gives me a clear view. I can just look at all these campaigns. I know what's going on. For me, it's simple. I think if you're looking at this for the first time, you're like, this looks super confusing. Once you get your head around it, I can literally just scroll down on these campaigns and just know straight away exactly what's going on. And then it's a single image ad. And if it's a website visits, I should be, and I didn't do it here stupidly, saying where I'm sending the ads to. So for example, or maybe I haven't set it up, that's why, but basically single image. And the last thing I should write here is, where is the ad going to? Which page is it going to? Is it going to the sales page? Is it going to an opt-in page? Is it going to the contact page? So that should be there just so it's really clear. So let's start with lead generation as an objective, because you will read them differently to a traffic, if you're sending people to a landing page. So the first things I would look at is the amount you've spent, how many leads did you get, what was the cost per lead, and what was the lead form completion rate. So this is the first general things we need to just look at. We need to understand how the campaign's doing. And these numbers will just give us a good picture very quickly. So we can see that we got 181 leads. And the first thing to look at is cost per lead. Was the cost per lead good or was it not? That's the first question we should be asking. And if not, then we can dive into some of the numbers in a minute and work out why and what to do. But basically, if you're getting the benchmark cost per lead, then you're happy. And the benchmark is roughly $15 or £12 up to £25, £30, or whatever, $35, $40. Somewhere, it's a rough kind of benchmark around there. And the reason why it's so hard to give a really specific answer to this is because it really depends on the offer. But I'd say if it's over $40, then you can do a lot better than that. I regularly get under $20. So the first thing we need to go to is looking at the offer. What is your offer? If your offer is to download this really useful bit of content or go to my really amazing webinar, then you should be looking at the lower end from like $15, or £12 up to $35 or £30. And if you're getting in that range, that's great. If your offer is schedule a call with me, I've got this really cool service. I want you to schedule a call with us. That's going to be on the higher end. That could go up to $100, anywhere between like $50 up to $150, up to $200 even, depending on your offer. And it's really important to get this offer right, because if your offer is schedule a call with me, people that aren't that excited, you haven't really communicated why. Or maybe your offer is like there's a lot of other people with your offer. People are going to be like, not that interested, and no one's going to click through, and your cost per lead, if you get any leads at all, will be really, really high. That's why, generally speaking, I will A/B test those two offers, get really good gated content, and do a really direct response type of ad, which is just schedule a call with me, or do the action I want, and I'll A/B test that. And with the if we've got the if we're within those benchmarks on the cost per lead, we can go, yes, that's great. If not, we need to look at the offer. I would say normally it's the offer, but there's other things we can look at. For example, so the next place I'd go to is the click-through rate, and here we got a 0.3% click-through rate, which is kind of the average benchmark. But I'd say for me it's on the low side, so I'd rather see the click-through rate up at like 0.6 or 0.8, and if you're hitting 1%, you're doing really, really well, and I'm really happy with that. But basically, if you're hitting the benchmark and your cost per lead is okay, then cool, leave it, don't mess around too much with it. If you're happy with cost per lead, cool. But one thing you can optimize is there are 3 things you can do if you want to improve your click-through rate and your cost per click and generally your whole campaign. The first thing is we should jump into the ads. And as you can see here, we have very different completion rates. Look at this, different completion rates, different cost per lead, and the click-through rate is quite dramatically different. It goes from as low as 0.28% up to 0.54%. It's not quite double, but it's close to it, which is huge. It's a really, really, really big deal. And you can't see these ads here because I'm not allowed to show them because they're my client, but basically, they are this top one is just basically an image of the PDF, like looking like a booklet. Same with the kind of one below it, different copy. But the bigger difference with the creative here is that this has the founder's face on it, and people are just reacting to that a lot better. And I've A/B tested it with the different copy, but I can see a really big difference with the creative and copy here at 0.54%. So I know that's a winner. Which is great. So that's how you can improve your click-through rate. I would always recommend having 2 to 3 different creatives and copy. So it becomes a lot of ads. If you have 2 creatives, 2 copies, you're going to need each creative and each copy having both copy. So if you have 2 creatives, each creative should have 2 copies associated to each creative, so you can just double check all those variables. And that's part of a thing called a rapid fire test that I do. And you shouldn't be making those tests, because as you can see, it has a massive impact. I now know that this campaign is going to do better, and I can then optimize from that, which is super good. So going back to this campaign, we now know what we're looking for when we're doing a lead generation ad. We're looking for the cost per lead. Is it in the benchmark? Yes or no? How is the completion form? Another thing I didn't mention is if the lead form completion rate is low, so lead form completion should be roughly 15% minimum or more. And if your lead form completion, if you're seeing people click but they're not completing the form, that's probably to do with the lead form pop-up. So when the lead form pops up, that should keep the scent. You should treat this kind of like a landing page. You should keep the scent to what your ad is communicating. So if your ad is saying, hey, download this really cool bit of gated content, when your form pops up, you should reiterate, maybe a little bit differently or maybe exactly the same. We should reiterate the value of the gated content. Download it for these reasons. Because when people click through, they need to kind of keep the scent. They need to feel like they're in the right place. Less so with pop-up forms on lead generation forms, than a landing page, but still it's the same kind of principle. So it pops up, you need to keep the scent, and then make sure you're communicating it well to get your lead form completion up. So once you see your lead form completion rate's good, your cost per lead is good, generally speaking, you're happy with the cost per lead, and your click-through rate is decent, you can scale these ads, you can keep them running in the background, but now you can optimize based on what you're reading. I would generally be optimizing the creators and the copy at this point. If you're kind of okay, then it's the creators and copy. Another thing you can really optimize is the targeting. Are you targeting the right specific demographic? So for example, or the right bucket of people. Does your gated content really speak to your bucket of people you're targeting here? So if you're targeting managers rather than directors, the managers might want a more how-to, nitty-gritty kind of thing, how to do something, whereas the director might want a bigger overview strategy. So does your gated content reflect who you're targeting? And a founder will be very different to the IT manager, completely different kind of people. So you need to make sure that's working. And if not, try to tweak your title, try to test that title to see, maybe to call out, I think the way to win with LinkedIn ads is to get really minute with who you're targeting and how you communicate what your offer is to your target. And what I mean by that is maybe call out exactly, change your title based on each campaign. So if you're targeting IT managers, in the title say, yo, IT managers, this is for you for these reasons, you're going to love this. And then another campaign, even though the gated content might be pretty much exactly the same, when you're targeting IT directors, go, yo, IT directors, this is why you need to, talk more strategy or bigger picture type thing with the communication and also with the title of the offer if you're doing gated content. So that's the general overview of how to understand Campaign Manager, how to read this with lead generation forms. So if you're sending traffic to your website, which is, definitely something you should be looking to do, it's a bit more advanced because you need to get the conversion rates on your website. There's so many more variables to look into on landing pages, which gets complicated. So it gets a bit more advanced. I'm not going to go too much detail into the landing page and conversion rate optimization around landing pages, but it's really important to get that right because you could just waste so much money sending traffic to a website and getting zero conversion. This happens all the time. But here's one that I have myself, which did really well. Actually, I didn't spend enough budget on it, but I need to spend more. But basically, this is one I run for myself. So the first thing you would look at is your cost per result, which is your cost per which is basically cost per click, because it's cost per click, not cost per conversion. So just keep an eye on that. But your cost per click is $5.58, and here it is cost per result. So first thing you look at is cost per click. That's a really good range. I'm really happy. You should be getting cost per click anywhere between $2-3 all the way up to $10-11, depending on your offer again. CPM is really high, but it's something that I don't really look into very closely. Click-through rate, I'd straight away look at that because that kind of gives you a radar on how you're performing in the ads. Same as the lead generation forms. Here I got 1.17%. Really great. I don't know why I turned this campaign off. I need to turn this on. This did really well. I'm going to scale this ad up. But basically, and switch from CPC to CPM because it's over 1%. If you watch my video on bidding, double check that strategy. It's a really good strategy. Definitely, I'll put a description link below. But basically, click-through rate is a really good radar. Same kind of principle. If it's anywhere over 0.4%, you're doing okay. Over 1%, you're doing incredibly well. Conversion rate 47.62%. If you have numerous conversions, this you got to ignore. This is really confusing. So with this one, I was just sending people directly to my LinkedIn ads page, and I got 47% of the people who clicked got there. So basically, only 10 people, basically that's kind of like a bounce rate on this, 50% bounce. 10 people got there. And what's important is the cost per conversion. But tracking is a bit difficult because of cookie-based browsers and this kind of stuff. So it's not that accurate. But according to this, I had 10 people actually hit my site, which cost me £11.72 to get someone to my website. And here we're talking about marketing managers from people from 11 to 50. this is what this campaign was. So I'm really happy with marketing managers going on my website, looking at my face on my website, talking about LinkedIn ads. I even have a video there. Here's the ad I have, which is, have you tried LinkedIn ads to generate leads for your B2B business? If not, you're missing a massive opportunity. Some reasons why. Click to learn more. So yeah, I did this ad did really, really well. It's got a really bright and vibrant creative. It looks cool. It's giving statistics, which I find works really well. And it's just telling people like why they should check out and learn more about LinkedIn ads. So this did really well. But the thing you need to know and to see whether or not your conversion, like with this, it's more about conversion. So if you've got your conversions set up here, what you need to do is click here. If this isn't clicked, go here, click on conversions, and this will pop up, this little bit over here. But basically, if you're sending people to a flow which is opt-in page, then when people opt in, they get to the landing, they get to the sales page, which is kind of generally what I do a lot of the time, because it makes the most for the biggest bang for your buck, because you're paying for one click, you're getting the lead, and some of those people are doing the action as well. So they're getting to the sales page, so getting a lead and an action all with one click. But then suddenly if you have both of those things, plus you've got conversions on your calendar page and your thank you page, suddenly the conversion rate doesn't make any sense, because it's actually just calculating all your conversions. So if you had 10 conversions to your opt-in page, another 2 to the other page, suddenly this is like the conversion rate all the way through, and the number becomes not very useful. So we need to really understand this. What we need to do is understand, okay, how many people got to, say, the opt-in page, and that will show us here. And then how many people from the opt-in page got into the sales page, and then we look at the numbers there. How many people from the sales page clicked on the call to action and got to the calendar page, or the Woofu, or the page which is about the questionnaire page, how many people got to the calendar page, and how many people got to the thank you page. So around that, I've got another video which I'll link to, which goes more deeper into like the conversion rates around there. But this is kind of what we're looking at with these campaigns. We need to know, okay, we've got a good number of people clicking through to our opt-in page or our landing page. Our cost per result's good. We're happy with the cost per click. We know that people are getting there and not bouncing too badly. So we now know this is good. We're happy with this campaign. But what's more important with these campaigns is the conversion rates down the line. So for example, I would say if 20% of the people who land on an opt-in page from LinkedIn are converting to your sales page, i.e. they're actually opting in, then that's pretty benchmark average. If you can hit 40, 50%, you're doing really, really well from LinkedIn. From Facebook, I would always be aiming for 50% or 40% above, but with LinkedIn, 20% is pretty good. So if you have a conversion rate from opt-in page to sales page at 15% plus, you're doing well. If you have a conversion rate from sales page to the calendar page of, again, another 20%, you're doing okay. And then again, you want roughly, the people who get to the thank you page is going to be the cost per action. And this is the holy grail. If you can crack this kind of system, you have people booking into your calendar on autopilot. And if your cost per scheduled phone call from this kind of flow is good, then you can just ramp up these ads and let's just get as many phone calls. Let's fill your calendar up, and you don't need to be doing anything else. It's such a great system to have. And if you're converting those phone calls at a good rate, again, it's roughly 1 in 5 is a benchmark. But if you, at that point, are converting those phone calls into clients at a good rate, and you see your customer acquisition cost, i.e. at this point, we can work out, okay, how much is the cost per click? How many people are going through the flow? What's the cost per scheduled phone call? And how many of those phone calls are we converting? At that point, we can work out the customer acquisition cost, which is kind of the thing everyone wants to know. Every investor, if you're a B2B SaaS company, wants to know. If you're just a consulting company, B2B company, that's kind of what you want to know, because if your customer acquisition cost is good, i.e. say it's costing you 1.5K to buy a customer through this system, but you have a lifetime value of 10K or more, say your lifetime value is 20K, you're selling IT services, or you've got something, which is a high lifetime value, then you know that you can ramp up these campaigns and you can scale these campaigns and you can scale your business. So this is why this is a really good flow, but it's really hard to crack. And that's why I always recommend starting with lead generation and having more sales led. This is a bit more marketing led. And yeah, as I said, it's hard to crack, but if you can crack it, it's the holy grail. It's amazing, amazing system to have. And this is why people hire me. So if you want to hire me to try to work this out for you, you can also, I'll leave some kind of link in the description below. I do this every day. This is what I work on. If you're a B2B SaaS company or B2B company and you just want me to look at your ads and try to work all this out for you, you can do that by hitting the link in the description below and schedule a call with me. So these are the main things you need to look at with website visits. It's less about what's happening on the platform and more about what's happening off from the platform. If you've got a good cost per click, i.e. it's $3 to £10 or $3 roughly to like $12, $15 even, that's cool. And if those people are then getting onto your landing page, you're doing good. From a pure LinkedIn platform perspective, you're cool. Look at your click-through rate. Then if your click-through rate is 0.4% or more, great. If not, then look at your copy and creative. It's the same with lead generation. Look at your copy and creative and start optimizing different copy, different creative, trying to get a higher click-through rate. If you just can't crack that, it's probably to do with the offer again. If your offer is, yo, check out my, go to my landing page and, we have this cool service, maybe go to do a gated content offer and try it there and then push them to the landing page. Or if your offer is straight to a landing page, which is to get people to schedule a call with you, maybe that's too much to ask for. So look into that. And if you are doing gated content and your lead click-through rate's low and you've tried to optimize on the copy and creative, then it's probably your gated content. You need to change your gated content or communicate the gated content differently. But basically, it needs to match who you're targeting. If you're targeting managers or director level, and also it can't just be a glorified blog. And this is what a lot of people just do. They're like, oh, cool, let's do a blog and turn it into gated content. It needs to be something a bit more substantial, something a bit more exciting, so people can then, these people will be excited for this, unique offer they have. So that's website visits. Now let's touch on conversation ads and exactly how to understand how to read your results. So, the thing that people don't understand is that they think in-mail and conversation message ads are really, really got a high click-through rate and they perform really well. And a lot of people just go straight into in-mail or, messaging ads. And I think that's a big mistake. I actually think it's, from my experience, it's going to be the most expensive cost per click you're going to get. And let me explain why, because there's some kind of misleading information in Campaign Manager. So it's really important to stick around and watch this. So basically, if you look at your click-through rate, here it's showing really high click-through rates, and people start going, whoa, I've got like a 70% click-through rate on my ad, and they think that's the, people are clicking, they're opening and they're clicking on the call to action, and 70% of the people are doing that. That's false. What this actually is representing is your open rate. So if you look here, that's the 70%, right? If you go to where we have some stats on this, it's the same as your open rate. So don't get confused by the click-through rate. Your real click-through rate is your click-to-open rate, which is 3.27%. And it's actually quite expensive. If you look at, for example, this campaign, which is a lead generation conversation ad, we spent £54 and we had 2 people click on the lead form and 50% complete. So we got 1 lead at £54. So I can do, we'd run the same, for the same client, we're running campaigns, lead gen campaigns with sponsored content, and our leads are £14. So it's definitely not the best way to get a lead, in my opinion, or to send traffic to a landing page. I think in-mail is very useful for certain reasons, but I'm not going to go into this in this tutorial today. But generally speaking, I wouldn't use it most of the time. I think sponsored content will do the trick much, much better for your objective. So yeah, don't look at your click-through rate and be really excited about it, because that's just how many people are opening. And this is good. I'd say a normal open rate is 50%. So I'm doing really well with this campaign, but 50% is more normal. And so if you're getting 50, if you see your open rate of 50%, cool. We know that something's going well. Then the next thing I'd look at is your click to open rate, which is the actual people clicking through on your call to actions to get sent to your landing page or to open up a lead gen form. And if that's anything over 2%, I think you're doing well. You can rest assured that this is the campaign that's doing well. And, another thing I want to look into is what's the cost per click really, compared to sponsored content. We had 4 here to go to a landing page, and we spent £43. So yeah, I did it a second ago. It's £10.85 per click to a landing page. We can get that down to £6. I'm doing this for my client, and I know that I A/B tested this with just a sponsored content. It's roughly like £6.50 maybe via sponsored content, rather than £10.85 via conversation ad. So generally speaking, again, it's not great. The one success I am having, and check out my video on sponsored content, is retargeting, say, website visits or lead gen opens with conversation ads. This is actually a really cool strategy. Check out the video. I'll link in the description below. But basically, anyone who's landed on your website and triggered your LinkedIn Insight tag, you can then send them a conversation ad on LinkedIn saying, hey, I noticed you're checking out our website. If this is not too creepy for you, try it though. Notice you've been checking out our website, or you don't even have to say that. You can just send them the ad going, hey, would you be interested in XYZ? And that can be served to them after anyone who's checked out your website, been on your website, can send them conversation ads. And that's more of a bottom of funnel, middle of funnel type of strategy with conversation ads. And I'm finding real success of that. So check out that video to see a little bit more, understand more about that. But generally, with a conversation ad, what you need to know is what's your open rate, what's your click to open rate. If your click to open rate is not very good, then you're not communicating the offer very well, or your offer is not very good. And cost per send is pretty simple to get right. It'll just be generally your minimum. It depends how many you're sending, and your open rate, cost per open, which is how many people are actually opening. But the most important thing is how much does it cost to get a lead via conversation ad, lead generation conversation ad, and how much is it costing to get people to your landing page, which generally speaking, I'm finding it's costing more from a top of funnel point of view. So next we have text ads, which I absolutely love. They're the cheapest cost per click you're going to get. It's the cheapest click you're going to get to a landing page. Great for retargeting, great for top of funnel. Just have them running in the background. The downside for them is that they have notoriously low click-through rates. So the click-through rate is pretty much what I'm hitting here. This is an average 0.02 to 0.03% is average, which is 2 to 3 people out of every 1,000 times your ad isn't served to someone, it gets clicked. That's an average. That's pretty consistent with what I get all the time and what is the benchmark average in the industry. So it's very low click-through rates. You're not going to get a lot of traffic with these, but they're the best cost per click. So just having them running in the background, I always just recommend have them running in the background. And with conversation ads, you just need to look at basically what is your cost per click. So here you go, £2.09, £1.95, one really cheap cost per clicks for LinkedIn, right? This is more like Facebook cost per clicks. It's amazing. Just have these running. So just have a look at that. Make sure that is not insane. That's about right, I'd say. Make sure your click-through rate's about right. If it's any lower than 0.02%, then there's something going wrong here. Generally, what works with text ads is having a face. Because you have such little room to communicate. I find a face just works really well. I've tried just other logo versus face, and face generally works across the board. So yeah, I mean, at this point, to really understand and read the conversations, you need to be reading the metrics about what happens afterwards. And that's a different whole ball game. So once they've left LinkedIn, you need to see your conversion rates of how many people landed on the opt-in page, how many people actually opted in and went to the sales page, how many people got to the calendar page, how many people got to the questionnaire page, calendar page, thank you page. That's all the same metrics as with website visits. It's the same flow. You need the same. You can go, if you haven't seen that part of this video, you can check that out, or you can check out the bigger video I have, which I'll link to below, about that. But basically, you need to have the conversion rates working, and that's all about landing page conversion rate optimization on the landing pages. That's not so much to do with LinkedIn. I'll make a separate video just about conversion rate optimization, because it's really important. If you're going to be sending traffic to your landing pages, you need to make sure you you're doing a good job with your landing pages. But generally speaking, you just need to know that your cost per conversion, your cost per click is decent and your click-through rate is decent. There's not much to go wrong with these either. They're really easy. So yeah, that's text ads for you. So I'm going to miss out dynamic ads because I don't really run them. I don't really value them very highly, and I don't recommend them. So I'm not going to even go over them. But I hope this video is super useful. If you want to have a consultation with me, if you're trying to run ads, then I'll leave a link below. Please only click the option if you're a serious person who might want to hire me, because I don't unfortunately have time just to give loads of free consultations to people if there's no opportunity to work together. So if you basically have the budget of £3,000-4,000 a month in terms of putting into the ad platform plus a little extra to pay me, and you have some if you're a B2B SaaS company, you have a really good website already doing you're already advanced, then yeah, click on that. Otherwise, please subscribe, hit the bell button, leave some comments. It all helps me out, and see you very soon for another LinkedIn ads tutorial.